I'm greeting everyone. Sudarshan Limbu is speaking here. Hello, I'm from Nepal for the METPT project. Today I'm going to present the final report on the topic of implementations of the locally available resources and teaching Newton's third law of motions at grade 9 in action research. And for this research or for this report, Dr. Siris Patare from the Mumbai acted as academic mentor, and Dr. Rosni Rajbansi from Nepal, Kathmandu University, acted as a field mentor. For this research, I have collected some background information and the rationale regarding to that culture or the practices of the teaching Newton's third law of motion, where science education in Nepal in school level is more leaned toward the traditional or conventional approach of a teaching, where teacher simply give a lecture basic classes, and then after students have to write memorize, and then after they give or face the examination written examinations according to their in the ability of rote memorizing, or is similar to that, identical to that uh, parrot parrot memorizing or parrot learning one. Far behind the activity based learning, and then after the lack of the proper awareness to use the locally available tools or assembles them. And in addition, we also saw that most of the schools in the context of Nepal are locating at the remote area where the sophisticated or the full equipments for laboratory are not reached yet so far. That's why uh, students are far behind the activities of learning or experimentations or any project types of learning one. So, and next one, this could be the reasons why the students are not starting misconceptions about the Newton's third law, like that on greater mass only implies that greater force one, and only active legends exert force. Next, delivering knowledge and the classroom setting do not culminate with the modern need. Modern need means like that activity based learning, and then after the meeting creativity, or you can say nurturing or developing creativity. This type of things are not available in the context of Nepal one. So the next one is about the research questions. On the basis of these backgrounds, the research questions for these papers are like that: how do teachers transform their pedagogical practices through the use of locally available materials in teaching Newton's third law of motions in grade 9, and how do grade 9 students learn Newton's third law of motions meaningfully and overcome their misconceptions using the locally available materials. That means here this paper is going to introduce the locally available materials that is fit for, or those are fit for teaching the Newton's third law of motions or Newton's law of motions. And next one about the data collections and analysis. Here for this research, I do have this research used 5 participants who are in service science teacher, and from the 5 different schools, and all 5 schools are community based school, and 3 of them are from the urban and 2 from the remote site in the eastern part of Nepal. Next one is about the data collection and analysis. Here in this research, data tools used to collect in data like that online platform like Google Form, Google Document, recorded interview, observations, photograph, and live experiences. These all are the tools to collect my data. So that this is a blended form of the research also, you can call it like that. Sometimes I have used that online platform, and sometimes I have make physically to observe the classroom activities and anything. So the method used for the analysis are like that, both quantitative and qualitative I have used there. Qualitative for the developing reflecting reflection reflective genre and the interpretation, where that quantitative analysis is done by using Wilcoxon sign rank test to test the significant effect of the interventions or anything. So, and here main aim of these interventions is to correct the misconception and transforming the pedagogical approaches or teaching pedagogy of the teachers. I have mentioned the 2 cycles, like that cycle 1 and cycle 2. In cycle 1, TPT workshop and a classroom implementation has been done, and in cycle 2, TPT workshop and the classroom implementations for the similar activities, but the facilitators had a different role here. It's where students were free to collaborate, and then after discuss, and then after that use their one skill for the performing their activity or anything. So this is all about interventions. In during the teacher interventions, Here we have here I have obtained some insightful from the teachers as well, like that aware of locally available materials for the teaching Newton's law, that facilitating and framing hands-on activities. Where is the significance of the students' activity participants in the learning process, accounting misconceptions concerning Newton's law of motions, and use of syringes to account the actions and reactions. So, and next one is improvement in the general generating concepts and the content-based knowledge one. Next one is about the findings. For this qualitative interpretation, simply I have compared the two response. First one is data obtained from the pre-test, and the second one is data obtained from the post-test. Here we can see that one. In first spider web, there were 135 students, and among them, each students were allowed to give the seven you can say response to the seven questions on, and among those all responses, only 26.3 responses are found to be a correct one, which is very few. Which in this diagram you can see that orange color is that correct answer giver, correct responses, whereas blue colored is for the incorrect responses of the from the students in pre-test. Whereas in post-test, we can see a significant, or we can say a very significant change in here, where there's 115 students were present in this post-test, and among those 97.89% of the responses are correct. Where in the figure we can see that one wave, orange wave or orange region is that of a correct answer giver, whereas orange, or you can say blue colored is for the incorrect responses one. So here we can see a pretty high difference between the pre-test and post-test for the correct responses. But for the quantitative interpretations, I have selected some students paper, only those who are common between this pre-test and post-test. I have selected those paper and compare their score in pre-test and post-test using the Wilcoxon ranked sign test. And the mean comparison between the pre-test and post-test is 0.000, which is less than 0.05. It means we can deny the or we are not able to retain the null hypothesis. That means what? There is a significant difference between the pre-test and post-test one. What therefore we can conclude from this quantitative interpretations, therefore the conclusions of this quantitative interpretations, that the interventions what he applied or what I have approached for this research is significantly effective one. Now about the discussions of the paper here, accounting action and reactions by colliding two bodies, the way of using syringes was different than what I have proposed. This means, at first I proposed just by colliding the two body and using the slow motion video, but our one of the teacher has proposed, instead of doing like that one, we can collide a syringe. So I went through that teacher, and finally we have concluded, or we have conducted all the activities by colliding the two syringes from the opposite, but observer must be a very fair, and we should have to give equal chances for the observations of displacement of the piston while marking the action and reaction. So, and the schedule that I made did not work well due to the different time ability of my participant, and I had to wait and then receive data from them as per their comfort. And some teachers were unwilling to conduct the second cycle, as they were claiming that we are obtained our objective, so no need for it. But I convinced them to allow peer discussion and collaborations in the second cycles to strain their knowledge background, which was not done in the previous cycle. That's why they are finally they were finally convinced, and they performed that cycle 2 and made a report that I have needed. And implications or the future directions of this paper is here I have presented on the basis of one poem where the main character is a Solza, and this poem represents the transformations of a Solza. Solza is an innocent girl, science is an interest, and she questions for Solza perused about why this is so. Sigates replied, "That is how I learned so." Solza acquires science is the great. She sets her mind to misconceptions even though. Solza meets non-native learning viewpoint. She feels odd and falls into the dilemma of disoriented. Solza continues to raise multiple critical queries. She develops and shares the new perspective. Solza is an innocent girl. Science is an interest, and she questions for. This is all about this paper or this poem is simple for the transformation in her learning, transformation on her learning habits or her conceptualizations after being intervened. Therefore, is a concluding remark of this report. mm, the future directions of this report is for transforming fallible hegemonic thoughts of irreversible teaching practices into a changeable one, where teachers disempower their existing practices by experiencing learning disorientation, prolonged struggle, and accommodating the new knowledge and the reflecting life experiences. I hope you all got key ideas and significance of this report. If any unclear concepts or doubts are exist, then please let me know. This much for this report. Thank you.